And away we go.
And so what's new?
A lot of things. Just Stop Oil announces end to protests and publicity stunts.
That because the government backed down on fucking oil and gas license.
Yep, the government say they'll do what Just Stop Oil asked them to do.
Which means makes the country poorer. Fuck them, we need oil and gas. It'll cost more money. We broke for it. Heck.
Texas to become the first U.S. state to officially ban Islamic Sharia law.
Keir Starmer, who's repeatedly said that the problem in England is Islamophobia, will now give white people tougher sentences. White men are going to be treated a lot tougher from judges from Tuesday compared to other groups.
Same old, same old. Charlie Gervais, founder of startup bought by J.P. Morgan, found guilty at fraud trial.
Who is?
Charlie Gervais, 32, was convicted of defrauding J.P. Morgan out of $175 million by exaggerating the customer base of a financial aid startup, Frank, by 10 times during its sale to the bank. Prosecutor said Gervais paid a friend $18,000 to create millions of fake customers' names to inflate Frank's user numbers. Gervais, who lived in Miami Beach, Florida, had been free on $2 million bail since her arrest in 2023 and is set to be sentenced on July 23rd. Anyone can get away with anything these days. Spanish court overturns former Barcelona player Dani Alves' rape conviction on appeal. The High Court of Justice of Catalonia overturned Dani Alves' rape conviction due to inconsistencies and contradictions in the original ruling. The court stated there was insufficient evidence to deny Alves' presumption of innocence.
So what do you think the chances are that Canada gets split in two? The western parts of Canada join America, and the eastern parts form their own little nation. And then a couple of years later, when the Democrats get in, they annex all of the east.
I'm not sure if the Democrats are the kind of people that would take over land.
Oh, they are.
Really?
Well, they're the ones that advocate. Realistically, who was in charge during the time that did the Louisiana Purchase? Is that Republican or Democrat?
Do you know?
Let's double check.
Okay.
U.S. President in 1803. Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah,
1803, wasn't it? 1803, so it must have been Jefferson.
Yes. It
So
sure was.
Democratic Republican. Okay, so what were the big major landowners? You give me the dates and I'll tell you the presidents. I've got a list of presidents here.
Hey, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. My friend took me out to eat. I wasn't really expecting no one today.
That's fine. Who's the
Sorry.
president? So, basically, what are the major land purchases in America?
So, there's Louisiana Purchase under Thomas Jefferson.
Which would be under which would have been under Thomas Jefferson. Effectively, 1801 to 1809. So Thomas Jefferson. So what was the other big purchases after Louisiana?
Wait, what's the topic?
We're trying to discuss who was who's the ones that are more land hungry, Democrats or Republicans?
Got you. Okay.
The purchase of Alaska.
What year was that?
1900s.
1900s and what? Like 1901.
Okay, hold on. Crikey. Oh no, so it was signed 1867 Alaska Purchase.
All right. So
that would be under. Okay, so the Alaska Purchase was under a Democrat, and his name was Andrew Johnson.
Andrew Johnson.
National Union and a Democrat. So you'd be a Democrat. So Andrew Johnson, 1865 to 1869. That's round about that time, ain't it?
Yeah, sounds like it.
So what's the next biggest purchase that America did?
I wouldn't call it the Virgin.
What about the Virgin Islands? Wasn't that another one?
I don't know why is a place called the Virgin Islands?
The British Virgin Islands and the American Virgin Islands, they basically took the land off of the Dutch. Well, by acquiring it. So what year was that purchase? Any other big major territory grabs?
Hawaii. Take over Hawaii.
What year was that?
Hold on, there's so much I can do all at once.
Okay. Have you noticed something, right?
Yeah.
All the presidents, they seem to be white. They've never been black. So we're supposed to believe that literally. So when they say that all presidents, right? They say that it's always been America's always been a multicultural thing. Then why has all the presidents always been white? So it's a lot of shite.
So what does that make Obama then?
He's more white than black. Let's be real here. Well, not all. Richard Nixon. Again, I think we need to discuss this. I think there's something in the room that we need to discuss here, right? Even if Trump does what he does, right? What's the fucking point? Because the Democrats are just going to get rid of scrap everything he's fucking done. How can you really change the system when you've got a bunch of fucking negligible leftists that as soon as they get into power, they'll just fucking destroy everything he's worked on?
No. What's the point of anything?
So what's the alternative here? Do we just break America in half?
Seems like the only alternative, really.
Because as soon as they're like, oh, you guys are facing a similar situation that Rome once felt. You've got the fucking class, you've got a protectual class that quite honestly profit off of the fucking labour of the working class person in the South. Whereas you've got the South where they basically receive benefit, where they basically take benefits. Like you guys are facing a similar situation to Rome. The Roman Empire first felt. You've got a certain section of the population that basically that only relies heavily on benefits and low imports of grain and food. I can't see any alternative, but I think America will end up breaking apart. So where do you see the country going, Jamie?
Well, despite many things.
Do we split Canada? Do we split Canada in half? We let parts of Canada join America, and parts of the leftist parts of Canada. Do we just split the country in half? Democrats have their one side, and we have ours.
It could be likely, but how bad do these places want the division and the autonomy and sovereignty?
The question is, if you really want to fix the country, how can you fix it when you've got a fucking dooley-nilly, a lunatic that'll basically wants to flood our country with illegals?
They're obedient. They don't know what goes on. They don't believe that what's been told to us is fake or an illusion. People are so compliant and obedient to what people on top are saying things are going on. The only way for nations to divide is we give people a reason to have a division to begin with, and for them to have the autonomy that they want.
I'm surprised we never saw this guy run for president, right?
Who?
Dan Quayle.
Dan Quayle.
44th Vice President of the United States. To George H.W. Bush.
Okay. IRS crime fighting arm announces modernization program as financial crimes use more tech. The IRS criminal investigation announced a program called CI First to improve interactions with financial institutions amid rising financial crimes involving technology and AI. From 2022 to 2024, the agency identified $21.1 billion in tax fraud and seized $8.2 billion in criminal assets.
Interesting, huh?
It sure is.
Guess who Gerald Ford's person was?
Who?
VP Nelson Rockefeller.
A Rockefeller, eh?
Richard Nixon.
Another Rockefeller or a Rothschild?
Spyro Agnew. What happened to him?
Oh, good question. This is the first time I hear about this guy. Whatever did happen to him?
Spyro Agnew, Theodore Agnew, 1918 September. He was the 36th Vice President of the United States for one term, and then he got replaced.
By who? That's a stupid question.
So, is there anything else in the news?
Brazilian prosecutor tosses ex-President Bolsonaro's COVID-19 vaccine status case.
It's COVID-19.
Yep. Brazil Prosecutor General Paulo Gonet told the country's Supreme Court that he decided not to charge former President Jair Bolsonaro of fraud in his records, reported newspaper O Globo on Thursday.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Tomomdale.
That's
a good question. Why was General Ford? Why was he vacant through December 1974? What happened? Why did Gerald Ford didn't have a VP till back then? Was VP not important in 1972?
I don't think it was about importance. The fact that General Ford swooped into the presidency at the last minute, Ford didn't have the time to actually find his VP to be in place.
1968, Spyro Agnew was Richard Nixon's guy, and then vacant October 10th, December 6th, 1973, and then it was basically Gerald Ford, who then would become president.
That does sound suspicious.
George Washington, John Adams, Theodore Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, Aaron Burr, James Madison.
What do all of those men do?
Interesting. You might like this. Thomas Jefferson, George Clinton, 1804, VP. James Madison, Elbridge Geary, James Monroe, e.g. the Monroe Doctrine. Basically, the Europeans stay out of American affairs. You stay out of our affairs, we'll stay out of yours. That's not how it worked out, I'm afraid.
Not how anything works out, unfortunately.
Daniel D. Tompkins. What party would the Federalists have been?
I think the Federalists. I don't think it would fall on either side. It'd just be its own thing, somewhere in the middle. Kind of like a middle ground kind of party.
Democratic Republican?
Maybe.
National Republican? John Quincy Adams, the first ever Democrat, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, the Whig, Democrat, Whig, Democrat, Republican, National Union, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Democrat. How the hell? Seeing this, right? This is the 1960s, right? We're going from Democrat to Republican. How the fuck are you supposed to change anything? This is the 1960s, Richard.
And how is now any better?
It's not any better. Republican, Democrat, Democrat, Republican. So instead of going for 2 terms, we're lucky if we get 1 now. Again, even if Trump does what he says he does, what the fuck does it matter? Because as soon as the leftists get in, they'll just fucking destroy everything we do. What's the fucking point? And they're responsible. None of them want to lower the debt. So what do they do? Does anybody have a plan how to kill that debt?
Nope, I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either. Do we just write it off and say, well, we don't have any debt? Or do they just split into 2 countries?
They'll just bug off about it and just move on.
Because I know they just fucking write it off and claim it, just default on it completely.
Why would they do that?
Because they're not going to be able to fucking pay it. So what's the point?
Exactly. If there's no point in paying it, they're not going to do anything about it.
They can't afford to pay it. Why not just fucking write it off and just say, like, look, we can't afford to pay this. We're never going to be able to pay this off. We just got to admit to ourselves we can't pay it. We can't afford it. So they basically there'll be consequences for it, but it's the only thing you can do. So who do you think's likely going to win the next election?
Which one?
America.
The United States. Now, as it
Who would
stands,
you prefer?
As of now, I could see J.D. Vance becoming president.
I see him, but I don't think we'll ever see our president like Trump ever again for a long time.
But we have to ask the question: what happens after Trump?
We have to ask the question: what happens? More managed decline. That's what I suspect.
The Trump will probably try to stay in office for a couple of years.
Trump will try and stay in office for a couple of years.
No, like the Trumps in general, like the family.
The family, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to. I wouldn't be surprised if part of the US doesn't break up. Maybe the South, and they just don't declare him that family king. Whatever's left can. Besides, let's be real here. The South is where all the future growth is in America. New York's dead. California's dead. They're dead cities.
Yeah, unfortunately. So what else in the news?
Wildlife charity faces damages claim over elephant project in Africa linked to 12 deaths.
Oh wow, I don't know what to think of that.
So it's so sad.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's it's unfortunate.
It sure is. Yeah.
You said they were facing backlash for that.
Yeah, rural farming communities on the border between the southern African countries of Malawi and Zambia are seeking damages and threatening to sue an international animal conservation group over the relocation of more than 260 elephants to their area. Their lawyers say have killed at least 12 people and injured others, destroyed crops and property, and left thousands living in fear.
Canada-US relationship is over, says Carney. Does he really get to make that call, though?
I don't know. What do you think? What kind of call they're gonna make? Or what do you believe they're gonna do?
What you saying?
I said, what do you believe they're gonna do?
Well, they want a closer relationship with the European Union, but my question is, don't get me wrong, if they try and do that, I think Western Canada will tell them to go fuck it and shove it, and they'll fucking move to join America. Eastern Canada might become an EU vassal, but the territories of British Columbia, territories of Manitoba, Winnipeg, not to mention the territories, Northwest Territories, and not to mention I can guarantee you, this is what I think will happen. I can guarantee you that America will take British Columbia, we'll take Manitoba, we'll take Saskatchewan, and we'll take Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the Northwest West Territories. They might take Yukon. They're going to take Yukon as well. They will also probably most likely take who knows? They might even take some of the islands in Eastern Canada as well. My concern is, though, Eric, once a Democrat gets in, that they're going to push to annex all of Eastern Canada. That's my concern, because you'll leave Eastern Canada basically defenseless, and quite honestly, you'll leave them effectively weak and civilly unrested.
It is kind of sad. You try to fix a problem and then it gets ruined again. Really, what is the
What's the point in fucking changing policy? Because they're just going to fucking get involved. They're just going to fucking do it. Can I be honest? I think Democrats should just fuck off to another country. Form a new nation, join Canada, all move to Canada, or shut up and take conservative values.
Some of them did move to Canada, but it might be the 51st state. It's like, that ain't gonna help. So, I mean, they could probably try moving to another country, but who knows what that's gonna do.
This
Yeah,
guy's a racist piece of shit.
oh,
It's a Muslim cunt. Flashback: Muslim preacher in Britain insists that non-Muslims are worth less than a pair of shoes.
oh wow.
Yeah. In my
Okay, so
opinion, this is what I honestly want to do. Deport the fucking racist cunt. None of us want you here. If you want to fucking coexist, if you want to coexist, you want to eat, you're going to have to brace our culture.
yeah,
You
it's
can
like
practice
why?
your religion in public. You can practice your religion. You can practice religion in private. We're not going to fucking stop you that. We're not fucking racists. We're not evil like that. You can practice your religion. You can go about your everyday life. But best be assured, if you want to fucking work a job here, you will have to speak our language. You will have to integrate. And you will have to fucking go in public. If you try and wear that garb when you fucking try and get a job, we'll call you out for being a fucking terrorist. Now fuck off. That's the fucking truth. You
Yeah,
want to
I'm
live
not gonna
here?
lie.
You want to interact in this country? You want to be a part of this country? You will have to integrate.
Yeah,
You
I
won't be
agree.
allowed to wear that. In the schools, you won't be
Yeah,
allowed to wear that. We'll call you, because that's what you are. That's what we'll think. That's what our children will think of you. That's what our adults will think of you. That's what our elderly will think of you.
yeah. I mean, what's the point of being here if you're just gonna say
Yeah, if you're going to
non-Muslim?
force your culture, what's the point in being?
Yeah, to go back to your other country then.
Go back to your country. Even people even Africans in South Africa, they say the same thing. If you're not going to embrace our culture, embrace the culture, fuck off.
I feel like it's like I feel like it's both sides. It's like
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like each race like just wants like yeah, if you're not gonna embrace our culture, then go back.
same with that. Same with Middle East. Middle East, they have to be accepted to a certain point if they want the fucking money.
Yeah,
Happy to live in the Middle East. They're happy to have British tourists and that. They're happy to have freaking American tourists, right? But they allow us to wear shorts and that. But yeah, again, Dubai is an interesting country because it actually wants to become modernized in the Western world. Iran, if you want to be a shithole, if you want to be a shithole, you want to be an Islamic shithole where nobody wants to fucking go here and we all think of you as terrorists, then go ahead. Doesn't mean we have to shop there. Does not mean we have to give you our money. It does not mean we have to fucking give you anything. You think the Japanese, the very wealthy people in Indonesia, do you think they would put up with that now?
Yeah, no, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
They definitely
You think
wouldn't.
you think it's just freaking people? You think it's just Americans or Europeans, even Western countries?
Yeah,
The real honesty is not even the poor countries in Africa do put up with that shit.
Yeah, they'd probably throw you in jail for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so hey, I mean, like,
Again, if they want to move, if they want to come to this country, interact in the country.
But yeah, you gotta adapt though. Yeah, like that's really all you can do is adapt. You can still practice your values, but adapt. Dude, I mean, there are Muslims here. There are Muslims here that are American.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah. Again, Texas have banned Sharia law. If you want to be a Muslim, fine. But they are not going to allow you to fuck. If you want to practice your religion, fine.
Hey, Texas is a W.
But Texas is not going to put up with it. Neither will most of America. If you want to live here, fine. You want to integrate, fine. You want to be part of this Western society, fine. I can guarantee you, none of us are going to put up with it. None of us. You ever fucking even dare try and push Sharia law, you'll be the first fucking person hung.
Yeah, Texas,
we know what you're fucking doing. We know what you're planning.
Yeah, Texas
It'll never happen.
Planning. Prefers Christian values, so it's like, that's good what Texas did.
Texas will never allow it to happen, and neither will most. It's the thing with India. We put these people, allow these people to come to our country, right? And they think that they own us. They don't. None of us want you here. None of us want these mass immigration here. None of us want it. We don't need them. We just have to make our societies cheap enough, affordable, so people can have children. We don't need foreigners. We never needed Indians. We never needed them at all. We don't need your cheap labour. I don't see what they're trying to get in. Oh, we import a bunch of cheap fucking people that are useless. Low skill, low wage workers, right? That drone down the people, make it even harder for everyday working Canadians to get a job, or Brits to get a job. And then you realise it's just masking that. It's putting a bandage on a situation that's worse. You need to take accountability. Why are people not wanting to have children? They don't want to ask that question. Why? Because it's too expensive. Nobody can afford it. And they don't have the answers. They don't want to have the answers. They don't have a clue on how to fucking get the country better. Because they don't want to. They want the country poor.
Yeah, and some people just don't want to bring their kids into this world. I don't know. They just think it's so messed up. And so, yeah, that's what most people...
Creating Canada officially cuts ties with Trump's America.
Huh, interesting. Why they cut the ties?
Because they hate Trump. And they're that jealous. They're pathetic. He's doing exactly what the Canadians want. He's pathetic. Maybe they're hoping that America invades them.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they're hoping it because they want you. Eric, I think they're trying to goat America into invading Canada, right? Do you want to know the reason why?
Why?
Because they want to be able to cry bad wolf. Oh, he's a dictator. He's Putin. He's Hitler. He's Hitler. That's what they want.
They would want Trump to invade.
They want to turn him into fucking Hitler. That's what they want. We all know it. The way they act, they want him to be the next Hitler because these leftist idiots have been that brain rotten that they think, oh, he's bad, he's evil, an evil man. Well, Trump is the most kind, honest person you'll probably see. He's not perfect, but I will say this: I'd much rather have a man like him in our country than the fucking shit stain we have now in the UK. And this is all part of the plan. This is all part of the plan, the deep state's plan. They want Canada. They're trying to create a unified North America. Canada will be sacrificed at the altar. Parts of Canada will be absorbed by America, and certain parts of Canada won't. There'll be Eastern Canada. Here's the plan. Eastern Canada will be left alone. It'll be its own little state, right? And then a couple of years later, when Trump is finally gone, when Vance is gone, and when they eventually lose an election, the Democrats will campaign on uniting Canada, uniting North America, by importing the eastern part, which will be the only way they'll get votes.
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
So is there anything else in the news?
Nepal's monarchy. Is a royal revival on the horizon?
For who?
On Friday, March 28, 2025, pro-monarchy activists and Republicans held simultaneous protests in different parts of Kathmandu, Nepal, leading to clashes and widespread unrest.
Nepal.
Yes.
What's their major religion?
What is it? Nepal. Let me check.
The country, not a big one. Do you think monarchy will become taken? Do you think?
Majority religion in Nepal is
Oh.
Hinduism.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that too. Hinduism, with around 81.2% of population identifying as Hindu, followed by Buddhism at 8.2%. That's
Is there no
unfortunate.
Islam in that nation?
Yes,
I guess
5.09% of people in Nepal are Muslims.
Saying that monarchy is a good way to round and control Islam.
I'm not gonna lie, all of those religions are very unfortunate. None of them are
Saying
good.
that monarchy has always been a good way to control Islam. Islam has always needed monarchy. It's always been a good way to control monarchy, to control Islam. It's always been a good way to control and keep them in check.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching a bunch of debates recently, and I'm not gonna lie. Because of the internet, bro, Islam, the internet is the worst thing to happen to Islam. People are actually able to see what Islam
It
really
truly
is.
is. A scumbag
Yeah.
religion full of fucking degenerates.
And they call a dude who married a 6-year-old and consummated when she was. Yeah, it's like, yeah, the internet. I'm not gonna lie. None of those alternatives in Nepal is. None of them are good. But people are gonna follow what they want to follow. They must see something that we don't see. What do you think they see? I wouldn't know. But what else in the news?
Renters say there's a 1 in 3 chance they'll ever own a home, lowest on record.
Oh wow, that is unfortunate.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, bro, you can't even really rent out. You really can't even own a home nowadays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Renting is the only option left that anyone can afford.
But even still, renting.
What
Still
the
quite
fuck
the
is wrong
hassle.
with this guy that's red in the red thing? He looks like he's fucking retarded.
What happened?
The guy that's in the blue top looks like he's fucking right. The other guy looks like he's disabled.
Huh. Are you watching a video?
Yeah,
Who knows? Maybe he is disabled.
but again, why the hell would you go up against a guy that's freaking but looks like he's an athlete?
Actually, yeah, he might be disabled. Actually. Did the kid in the blue let the guy in the red win? Okay, yeah. Okay, that's good. That's
UN warns of severe human rights abuse in Haiti, illegal flow of weapons. The United Nations' latest report on Haiti warns of widespread human rights abuse within the island nation.
Why does the European elite hate MAGA? Why does MAGA hate Europe? And I say, why does the European elite hate MAGA?
You know the answer to that, Risk.
Yeah, I know it. Words. What do you guys honestly think of Mark Carney?
it.
He's the new
Canada's fucking left-leaning lunatic. But once basically, he's the guy that says that basically American relationships with Canada is over.
Canada's new prime minister.
Gotcha. Well, I really have no initial thoughts about the guy. I mean,
He was governor of the Bank of England.
no.
Oh.
Did he?
Well, he did advise against Brexit, and
What you were saying?
oh yeah, I was gonna say, I think Liz Truss also said something about Mark Carney, not in a good way.
Well, let's
You
be
can
real
make of
here.
that as you will.
Didn't him and his fucking pals fucking kill her political career as PM? If I were her, I don't think I would have many nice things to say about the Bank of England either. Would you?
Speaking of authority figures, what happened to Kamala Harris? What is she doing?
She's
She's
supposedly
trying.
She's getting drunk like a fucking sorority housewife, and then she's supposedly running for governor of California.
Oh yeah, I
God,
was
I
about to
fucking
say
feel
that.
sorry for
Governor
California.
California.
Supposedly
Oh.
California's flipping to the right.
But will it be enough? That is the question.
The breaking thousands march in Belgium demanding re-immigration, and Europe has had enough. Liz Truss, we should stop taxing the young so much. We should cut immigration and build more houses to make it cheaper to buy a home. Then more young people could afford to get married and start a family. God,
Wouldn't that be the dream? Getting married.
and that's former Prime Minister Liz Truss. What we could do?
China tariff.
All I hear is opinions, but there is nothing. Nothing's gonna get done.
Nothing will get done.
Yeah. So until something actually gets done, all I hear is opinions. Opinions.
Nothing gets done. You know this better than anyone.
I mean,
China
at least,
tariff reduction possible in TikTok sale negotiations.
huh? TikTok sale negotiations. There are negotiations to sell TikTok.
Yes, President Donald Trump indicated that he might lower tariffs on China to help facilitate the sale of TikTok's US operations by ByteDance. He
Who's he
acknowledges
selling it to?
he acknowledged TikTok's significance but emphasized the importance of tariffs.
Interesting.
Georgia Maloney, JD Vance is right. Europe is lost.
So, he's still trying to buy TikTok, eh?
Yep, so Trump said, we're going to have a form of a deal, but if it's not finished, it's not a big deal. Trump said, we'll just extend it.
So he's gonna keep extending until he eventually gets TikTok.
Yes.
So we're
What he
never
wants
really
is
gonna.
that information. He wants that information in American hands.
So he's never really going to get rid of TikTok. Truly.
Apparently.
No, he wants TikTok, but he wants it under an American firm.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
what
know.
he always wanted. He always wanted it under an American firm.
And if these deals continue to not fall through, he's going to continue to extend it. But yeah, you're right. He ultimately wants TikTok under America. And frankly, I don't really care. I don't use TikTok. It's not my bread and butter. So, you know, it's whatever for me.
And bread and butter ain't my thing either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there are other apps that are emerging, but they're not going to be as big as TikTok. I know that much.
Sundance Film Festival leaving Utah for Colorado after 40 years.
Huh? 40 years. Why are they
Oh
leaving?
yes.
Why did they move?
The Sundance Film Festival will relocate to Boulder, Colorado in 2027 after more than
Which is
4 decades.
also Colorado is also a Republican state, is it, or is it a Democrat?
Colorado's Democrat, mostly.
Even they're still leaving California.
The move comes amid political tensions in Utah. Park City Mayor cited a bill banning pride flags from government buildings as a challenge in retaining the festival.
We did it, Mississippi. We just eliminated income tax. Today is a day that we'll remember not just for the headlines, not just for politics, but for the profound generation change it represents. It's proud to sign a law to complete elimination of individual income tax in the state of Mississippi. Let me say that again. Mississippi will no longer tax the work, the earnings, or the ambition of its people. This is more than a policy victory. This is a transformation. It's transformation that I have believed in. I fought for and worked towards for many years, from my days as a lieutenant governor to my first campaign for this office. In every legislative session since, I have made this my mission, because I believe in a simple idea that government should take less so that you can keep more. That our people should be rewarded for hard work, not punished. And that Mississippi has the potential to be a magnet for opportunity, for investment, for talent, and for families looking to build a better life. This legislation I signed puts us in a rare class of elite competitive states. There are only a handful of states in this country that do not tax income tax. Mississippi joins their ranks, and in doing so, we plant our flag. We are saying to job creators across America, if you want to build, come to Mississippi. We are saying to families across the South, if you want to grow, come to Mississippi. We are saying to entrepreneurs, work, to dreamers, Mississippi is open for business, and we won't penalize your success. We're going to compete and we're going to win. Now, I want to be clear, this didn't happen overnight and it didn't happen alone. This day is a result of years of work by dedicated leaders who shared this vision and had the courage to act. I want to thank Speaker Jason White and Lieutenant Governor Delbert Horseman. So basically, this is actually quite good for Mississippi.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're eliminating income tax.
Next thing to do is get rid of the sales tax. Still amongst the highest of all of the US, but it's a start. No more income
Once
tax.
they do this, they're
Good
going to be
enough.
competitive. They're going to be competitive. They might even take jobs from left-wing.
Maybe.
Maybe, yes.
As of
It's a
March,
start.
there are 9 states in the United States with no state income tax. These states are Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Wyoming, and now Mississippi. So that's 10.
Fabulous.
Amazing.
Gorgeous. Napster is making a comeback after being acquired by Infinite Reality for $207 million. the company plans to transform it into a social music platform with features like 3D virtual spaces and interactive concerts. Napster aims to boost artists' revenues and deepen fan engagement.
Well, that should help artists who don't want to go anywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, hey, that's all I gotta say about that. That should help any artist who doesn't want to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Not only make money, but to also interact with their fans without leaving the compounds of their own house. So, hey, you know,
And also give Spotify a run for its money.
that's true. That's true. Hey, so Spotify, I guess, suit up. I don't know. Like, do what you gotta do.
Beef up the competition, man. Up your
Pretty much.
game.
Oh, that's really all you can do.
Yeah.
But hey, good for them though. Good for them.
Yes. Good for them.
Speaking of which, what are your initial thoughts on Spotify?
Oversaturated. That
Hmm.
is as simple I can put it.
I can't disagree with that. I mean, it is a bit oversaturated, so I can't even disagree with that.
And to some extent it's overrated, but mostly oversaturated.
Yet, I'll be honest. That's why, like, for the last couple of years of my life, I never downloaded Spotify until, well, when I had a podcast. But I don't have that anymore, so I really just used it for music. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, Spotify is overrated. I mean, obviously you can find certain things on Spotify that you can't find on SoundCloud. But other than that, it's like, Spotify is pretty overrated.
What if
No,
I told you Spotify became as big as it is today because Apple made a crucial mistake in trying challenging Spotify when it comes to in-app purchase taxation?
really?
Yes.
That's why they got so
Because,
big?
well, first off, for any in-app purchases Apple users made on Spotify, Apple takes 30% of the money from those in-app purchases. What Spotify tried to do is try and make people make those in-app purchases, but on an external web browser. So Spotify can keep a lot of its profits without having to pay some kind of taxation to Apple for in-app purchases. And
Hmm.
Apple did all they can to take down or crack down on whatever Spotify was doing, but Spotify still kept going forward and trying to innovate despite limitations.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So now you do.
Hey, something.
Now back to the question, what if Apple was smart about how they deal with Spotify? Will Spotify would ever been big as they are today?
I
Because
believe so.
that's how big of a deal it was, that the mistake Apple made. It actually helped Spotify innovate and take advantage of whatever limitations they have and expand on it and make itself one of the biggest music players in the world.
I personally believe Spotify would have found. I personally believe Spotify would have found a way. They would have found a
Yep.
way.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. I mean, if this wasn't the way, they would have found another way. That's all I got to say about that. But is there anything else in the news?
Indeed there is. PM's communications chief Matthew Doyle quits after 9 months. Sir Keir Starmer's communications chief has resigned after 9 months in Downing Street. Labour veteran Matthew Doyle, who worked for Tony Blair, was brought in as Sir Keir's communications director 4 years ago, when the party was in opposition. He is the second senior member of Sir Keir's team to leave less than a year after the general election.
Because
Following
he knows
suit,
his career's fucked. And if he stays with this thing, his career's dead.
exactly.
They know where Keir's going, and I don't think they want to go through that way.
Following Sue Gray walking out the door as his chief of staff in the autumn. Well, better later than never.
Yeah, that's true. Better later than never.
Italian police arrest Breaking Bad fan in meth lab bus.
In Meth Lab Bus,
Yes,
a Breaking Bad fan
yes,
was in a Meth Lab bus.
yep. Italian police said on March 28th they had dismantled one of the largest clandestine methamphetamine laboratories in the country arrested a university student they described as a fan of the cult TV series Breaking Bad.
I bet he was bald too, wasn't he?
Maybe he could be bald.
With the goatee.
Yes, possibly. That would be funny.
It would. My man took the show way too literally.
He sure did.
Okay, that's kind of sad. I mean, but yeah, at the same
But
time,
still, it's kind of funny.
yeah, it kind of is. Everyone has their muses. Unfortunately, some of them is selling drugs.
Yeah.
But is there anything else?
South
What else is
Korea
there?
Forest Agency says wildfire in southeastern country contained.
Do you think we'll ever see Canada break up?
Not for a very long time.
You don't think that Carney might actually, if he wins, might not fucking stroke Alberta to go independent?
I wouldn't say stroke, but I do think if Connie does win the upcoming Canada election,
It will definitely push for a referendum.
one of the states will push for a referendum, possibly. But it's not likely. It's going to take a lot more push. It's not enough.
How much fucking push do you fucking need?
People are obedient. Most people aren't as aware as we are. People don't know until it's too late.
There's too many people in Alberta that think that Alberta's heavily conservative, 90% conservative.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course they are.
None of them are going to put up with that. Who are you kidding?
But even if they do go ahead, not many people are going to talk about that.
Yeah, most people aren't really going to talk about that.
And if they really do want, and if people in Alberta really do want to join the United States, who do you think is going to stop them from achieving that?
No one. It's part of the plan, Eric, Jamie. It's part of the plan. They want a united North America. They have for decades. It's part of the plan. Canada's already in probate. They've already signed the deals, signed the papers. It's just it's fear turn at this point in time. They've already signed. They've already joined. But who knows?
Who knows?
So what else is there?
2 students hospitalized after car crashes in Canberra's south.
That's unfortunate. What was the cause of the car crash?
Let's see, let me decline the cookies, because I don't want my data being taken. 2 school children have been rushed to hospital with serious injuries after being hit by a stolen car outside Canberra school. The boys, aged 14 and 15, were hit opposite St. Edmund's College on Canberra Avenue in the city's south about 9:10 in the morning on Friday. The 2 students from the college were both taken in serious conditions to hospital. The 31-year-old driver of the green Holden Commodore did not stop after the crash and sped away, police allege.
Oh, that's very
Yep.
unfortunate.
Just sick. In a bad way.
Yeah.
The nation's just getting bad and worse and worse and worse.
And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
When do you think the 51st state might happen? For us, things are happening.
I think the earliest, 2 decades from now.
UK will not exist by then, by that, Jamie. UK will be dead. Long gone and dead.
In what sense will the UK be dead?
Well, the British people will be ethnically extinguished if there's not a fucking civil war by then. By 2030, 2040 at the latest, it's very likely that the UK will be civil war or couped with the people that we've been letting in. Not all of us. I'm sure there's certain decent people that would probably fight with us. E.g. the fucking certain parts of the Sikh population that are in this country would probably fight with us. Same with the Polish. And probably some of the Caribbean people would probably fight with us as well, right? Against these people. I don't know. How many people would fight with us? Would they just turn us in? Turn on all of us? Would they all turn on us and we just... When we are a minority and we have next to nobody in our population, right? What's to say that they're not just going to fucking launch murders, right? Let's say they're not... Let's say this, right? They're not going to acknowledge them, but let's say that what's saying the state won't literally just cause a bunch of state murders and that, right? And then just blame it on terrorists or the enemy that they don't like of the day. Maybe they blame it on Russia, or they blame it on Iran, or they blame it on some bad person. That's most likely what's going to happen.
Who truly knows?
I'm still there.
Who truly knows what's going to happen?
Well, we know for a fact the way things are going, unless things changes, there'll be some form of civil war in the UK.
That's true.
Because I can guarantee you, when we're totally weak, when British population's weak and there's a fucking minority there, they will come and murder us. Or they'll offer the ones that are willing to stay loyal and basically submit to us, right? And the ones that don't, they'll be murdered. That's the truth. They're not going to publicly admit this, but that's the fucking facts. They very much would like to not have to go and fight and kill people, but they've already conquered our military. They haven't conquered the military. They've conquered our government, or big parts of our government. Conquered our civil service. They've basically infiltrated one entire political party. I don't see how we could compete, even fight back. But heck, is that us or is there any more?
That's us.